Maya Chen stared at her phone screen, watching the numbers tick down. $47. That's all she had made today, and it was already past 8 in the evening. She needed at least 70 to make her daily target. Without that, she wouldn't be able to pay this week's rent, and her landlord had already warned her twice this month. The rain had started around 6, just light drizzle at first. Now it was coming down like someone had turned on a giant faucet in the sky. Maya sat on her old motorcycle under a bus stop shelter, watching other delivery drivers pack up and head home. Smart people, she thought. But she wasn't in a position to be smart. She was in a position where every single dollar mattered. Her phone buzzed. New order. The address made her heart sink a little. Ashford Tower. That was the fancy building on Park Avenue, the one with the actual doorman in a uniform and marble floors so shiny you could see your reflection. Rich people lived there. The kind of rich where they had different apartments just for different seasons. The order was simple enough. Chinese food from Golden Dragon about 15 minutes away. The delivery fee was decent and there might be a tip. Maybe even a good one if she got lucky. Maya looked at the rain pouring down in sheets. Her jacket was already damp from earlier deliveries. Her shoes had holes that she'd tried to cover with duct tape, but water always found a way in. She accepted the order. What choice did she have? 20 minutes later, Maya was standing outside Golden Dragon, the bag of food clutched against her chest, trying to protect it from the rain with her body. Her motorcycle had made some weird coughing sounds on the way there, but it got her to the restaurant. That's all that mattered. The restaurant owner, Mr. Wong, looked at her with concern. He was a kind man, always gave her extra napkins and sometimes a free egg roll when business was good. Maya, you should go home. This rain is too dangerous, he said in his accented English, shaking his head. I need this delivery, Mr. Wong. I'll be fine, she said, forcing a smile that probably looked as tired as she felt. He sighed and handed her the bag, double-wrapped in plastic. Be careful. These rich people, they don't understand what it's like to need money this bad. Maya nodded and headed back out into the storm. The rain hit her face like tiny needles. Her phone's GPS was getting wet despite her attempts to shield it. She could barely see through the water running down from her hair into her eyes. The motorcycle started fine, thank God. She pulled out into traffic, moving slowly because the streets were flooding. Other vehicles passed her, splashing water up onto her legs. Her jeans were soaked through within minutes. She could feel the cold seeping into her bones, but she kept going. Park Avenue wasn't far. Just 10 more minutes. She could do this. That's when the motorcycle made a sound she'd never heard before. A grinding, terrible noise that came from somewhere deep in the engine. Then it just stopped. Right there in the middle of the street with rain pouring down and cars honking behind her. Maya's hands were shaking as she tried to restart it. Nothing. She tried again. Still nothing. A taxi driver yelled something at her through his window. She couldn't hear the words, but she understood the anger. She got off the bike and pushed it to the side of the road, her sneakers squelching with every step. Water was running down the street like a river. Her phone said she had 6 minutes until the delivery was late. After 15 minutes late, the order would be canceled and she wouldn't get paid anything. Maya looked at the food bag, then at the address. Ashford Tower was 2 blocks away. She could see the building from here, tall and gleaming even in the rain. She grabbed the food and started running. Her backpack bounced against her shoulders. The rain was so heavy she could barely breathe. Water splashed up from the sidewalk with every step, soaking her from below while the rain soaked her from above. She probably looked insane. This small Asian girl running through a storm holding a bag of Chinese food like it was made of gold. But to her right now, it kind of was. Her lungs burned. Her legs felt like lead. The cold was making her whole body shake, but she didn't stop. 1 block, then another. Finally, the entrance to Ashford Tower appeared through the rain like a mirage. Maya stumbled up to the door, her chest heaving. Through the glass, she could see the warm, dry lobby. A doorman in a perfect uniform sat at a desk, looking comfortable and dry. She pushed through the door and immediately water pooled around her feet on the expensive marble floor. The doorman looked up, and his face changed from bored to disgusted in about half a second. Deliveries go to the service entrance, he said, not even standing up. Maya tried to catch her breath. Please, I'm already late. The customer is in the penthouse. I just need to use the elevator. The service elevator, he emphasized, pointing toward a hallway. Around the building, back entrance. That'll take another 5 minutes. Please, I'm going to lose the payment. Not my problem, he said, cutting her off. You can't walk through this lobby looking like that. This is a luxury building. Maya felt tears mixing with the rain on her face. She was so tired, so cold, so done with everything. But she needed this money. She needed it so badly. I'm begging you, she said, and her voice cracked. I ran 2 blocks in this storm. My motorcycle broke down. I'm just trying to do my job, please. Maybe it was something in her voice. Maybe he was having a better day than usual. Maybe he just wanted her out of his lobby before she made a bigger mess. Whatever the reason, he sighed heavily and waved his hand. Service elevator. Don't touch anything. And if anyone asks, I didn't let you in. Maya nodded quickly, clutching the food bag tighter. She left a trail of water as she walked to the service elevator, trying to step lightly, trying to make herself as small as possible. In the elevator mirror, she caught sight of herself and almost gasped. Her mascara had run down her face in black streams. Her hair was plastered to her head and neck. Her clothes were completely see-through from the water, showing her cheap sports bra underneath. She looked like she'd been swimming in her clothes. She looked like exactly the kind of person who didn't belong in a building like this. The elevator climbed higher and higher. 10th floor, 20th, 30th. The penthouse was on the 42nd floor. As the numbers went up, Maya's anxiety went up with them. What if they complained about how she looked? What if they reported her to the app? What if they gave her a bad rating? She couldn't afford a bad rating. Too many bad ratings and the app would deactivate her account. Then what would she do? The elevator dinged. 42nd floor. The doors opened into a small hallway with only one door. Classical music was playing somewhere inside. Voices, laughter. They were having a party. Of course they were having a party. Rich people didn't worry about storms. They just ordered food and had parties while people like Maya ran through the rain to bring it to them. She walked up to the door and pressed the doorbell. Her finger left a wet mark on the fancy brass button. She could hear the bell chime inside, elegant and musical. Then footsteps. The door opened. And Maya's life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. The man who opened the door wasn't what Maya expected. She'd delivered to plenty of rich people before. Usually they barely looked at her, just grabbed their food and closed the door. Sometimes they didn't even say thank you. But this man, probably in his late 50s with silver hair and sharp gray eyes, actually looked at her, really looked at her. And what she saw in his face wasn't disgust or annoyance. It was concern. Good evening, she started, her voice shaking from the cold. I have your order from Golden Dragon. That's when her knees decided they'd had enough. She swayed just a little, catching herself on the doorframe. The world tilted sideways for a second. Are you all right? The man stepped forward, his hand reaching out to steady her. I'm fine, Maya lied, trying to smile. Her lips felt numb. Just the rain. Here's your food. She held out the bag with trembling hands. Behind the man, she could see into the apartment. And calling it an apartment was like calling the ocean a puddle. The place was huge, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the Manhattan skyline, all lit up despite the storm. Crystal chandeliers, artwork that probably cost more than she'd make in 10 years. And people. Lots of people in expensive clothes holding wine glasses, looking elegant and comfortable and dry. One of those people, a woman maybe in her 30s with perfect blonde hair and a dress that probably cost thousands, appeared behind the man. She took one look at Maya and her expression changed to something cold. Dad, just take the food, she said, her voice sharp. The guests are waiting, Dad, so this was his daughter. Maya should have guessed. They had the same straight nose, the same confident way of standing. But the man wasn't taking the food. He was staring at Maya and his frown was deepening. How did you get here? He asked. Motorcycle, Maya said. But it broke down, I ran. It's not far, just 2 blocks. You ran in this storm? The man looked horrified. Are you hurt? No, I'm okay, really, just wet. Maya tried to laugh, but it came out as more of a cough. She couldn't stop shivering. Her teeth were actually chattering, clicking together like those wind-up toys. Dad, the blonde woman said again, more insistent. Just take the food and let her go. We have guests. Caroline. The way he said her name made the daughter stop talking. Look at her. Caroline looked, but not with kindness. SS. More like Maya was a stain on the carpet that needed to be cleaned up quickly before anyone else noticed. She's fine. She can go home and change. In what? The man asked. She said her motorcycle is broken. How is she getting home? Maya wanted to answer, but another shiver took over her whole body. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to hold in whatever warmth was left, which was basically none. "I'll call a taxi," she managed to say. "It's okay. I just need payment for the food so I can come inside." The man said it simply, like it was obvious. Maya blinked. "What? Come inside?" "You're freezing. Dad, no." Caroline's voice went up an octave. "You can't just, she's a delivery person. We don't even know her." "She's a human being who's clearly in distress," the man said, and there was steel in his voice now. "And she got that way bringing us our dinner because we were too lazy to go out in this weather ourselves." A few of the party guests had wandered over now, curious about the commotion. Maya could feel their eyes on her, taking in her soaked clothes, her ruined makeup, the puddle forming at her feet. She wanted to disappear, to melt right into that puddle and drain away. "Sir, really, I appreciate it, but I should go." "When's the last time you ate?" he asked suddenly. The question caught Maya off guard. She tried to remember. Breakfast had been a granola bar. Lunch had been nothing. She'd been too busy with deliveries. This morning." The man's jaw tightened. He turned to someone Maya couldn't see inside the apartment. "Mrs. Rodriguez? Could you come here, please?" An older Hispanic woman appeared, wearing a neat black dress with a white apron. She took one look at Maya and gasped, "Ay, Dios mío. Richard, this poor girl is soaked to the bone." So the man's name was Richard, and apparently Mrs. Rodriguez agreed with him because she was already reaching for Maya's arm. "I don't want to intrude," Maya said weakly, but Mrs. Rodriguez was having none of it. "Intrude? Child, you look like you jumped in the Hudson River. Come, come." "Dad, this is ridiculous," Caroline said. "What will people think?" Richard turned to his daughter, and when he spoke, his voice was quiet but firm. "Caroline, I've spent 40 years building a business on the principle that how you treat people when no one's watching tells you who you really are. Right now, everyone's watching, so let me ask you, who do you want to be?" Caroline's mouth opened, then closed. Her face went red. Some of the guests were whispering now, and Maya caught the word sweet from one of them. Another said unusual. A younger man, probably close to Caroline's age, stepped forward. He had the same eyes as Richard and Caroline. "Another child here," he said, shrugging off his suit jacket. "At least put this around your shoulders." He draped it over Maya before she could protest. It was warm and dry and smelled like expensive cologne. Maya pulled it tighter around herself. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Vincent," the young man said, "and don't worry about my sister. She's just surprised. We all are." "Surprised is one word for it," Caroline muttered. Mrs. Rodriguez had Maya by the elbow now, gently guiding her inside. Maya tried to step carefully, aware that she was dripping all over the hardwood floors that probably cost more than her entire apartment. "The guest bathroom, Mrs. Rodriguez," Richard said. "Get her some warm towels and find some dry clothes. And make her something hot to drink." "Tea? Coffee?" "Tea," Maya said automatically, "if it's not too much trouble." "No trouble at all, mija," Mrs. Rodriguez said kindly. As they walked through the apartment, Maya caught glimpses of the party she was interrupting. A table full of fancy food, wine bottles that probably cost hundreds of dollars each, people in designer clothes stopping there, conversations to stare at the drowned girl being led through their midst. She'd never felt more out of place in her entire life. The bathroom Mrs. Rodriguez led her to was bigger than Maya's bedroom. Marble everywhere, a bathtub that could fit 3 people, towels so fluffy they looked like clouds. "You get those wet clothes off," Mrs. Rodriguez ordered. "I'm bringing you something dry to wear." "Don't argue." She left before Maya could say anything. Alone finally, Maya caught sight of herself in the mirror and groaned. She looked worse than she'd thought. Her mascara had created dark rivers down her cheeks. Her lips had a blue tinge. Her hair looked like seaweed. No wonder they'd all stared. She peeled off her wet clothes, wincing as the cold fabric stuck to her skin. Her fingers were so numb she could barely work the buttons on her shirt. When she was down to her underwear, she wrapped herself in one of those cloud-like towels. It was warm from a heated rack. A heated towel rack. Of course, rich people had heated towel racks. A knock on the door made her jump. "It's just me, honey," Mrs. Rodriguez's voice called. "I have clothes." Maya opened the door just enough to take the bundle Mrs. Rodriguez handed through. Sweatpants, a sweatshirt, thick socks. All of them looked expensive and new. These are too nice, Maya protested. They're Richard's, Mrs. Rodriguez said, from his workout clothes. He won't miss them. Now you get dressed and come out when you're ready. I'll have tea waiting. The clothes were way too big, but they were dry and warm and soft. Maya rolled up the sleeves and the pant legs. She used another towel to dry her hair as much as she could. When she looked in the mirror again, she looked like a kid playing dress-up in her dad's clothes. But at least she didn't look like she'd nearly drowned. She took a deep breath and opened the bathroom door. The hallway was empty now. The party sounds came from farther away. Maya followed the sound and found herself in a huge kitchen where Mrs. Rodriguez was pouring tea into a delicate china cup. Sit, Mrs. Rodriguez said, pointing to a stool at the counter. Maya sat. The tea was hot and perfect. She wrapped both hands around the cup, letting the warmth seep into her frozen fingers. Richard appeared in the doorway. Caroline was right behind him, her arms crossed, her expression stormy. Feeling better? Richard asked. Maya nodded. I'm so sorry for the trouble. I'll get out of your way. You'll do no such thing, Richard said, sitting down across from her. Not until you warm up properly. Besides, I want to talk to you. Caroline made a noise that sounded like she was strangling. Richard ignored her. What's your name? Maya Chen. Well, Maya Chen, I'd like to know what a young woman is doing running through a storm to deliver Chinese food. It's my job, Maya said simply. I'm a delivery driver. Full-time? Yes, Maya hesitated. I mean, I do other things too. Whatever pays, really. But delivery is the main thing. And do you always work in dangerous conditions? Maya wasn't sure how to answer that. The truth was complicated. The truth was about bills and rent and medical debt. About dreams that had to be put on hold. About doing whatever it took to survive. But before she could figure out what to say, Richard did something that shocked her even more than being invited inside in the first place. He smiled. Not a polite smile. A real one. Sad and understanding and kind. My wife used to work 3 jobs, he said quietly. Before we met, she told me once that the hardest part wasn't the work itself. It was people looking through her like she didn't exist. Like she wasn't a person, just a function. Someone to bring food or clean or serve. He looked at Caroline. That's not how we treat people in this house. That's never how we treat people. And in that moment, standing in a billionaire's kitchen wearing his clothes, drinking his tea, Maya realized this night was going to be about much more than just a food delivery. The tea warmed Maya from the inside out, but she still felt awkward. Through the kitchen doorway, she could see glimpses of the party continuing. People were pretending not to stare, but she caught them glancing her way when they thought she wasn't looking. She could imagine what they were thinking, what they were saying to each other in whispers. So Maya, Richard said, settling into the chair across from her, Mrs. Rodriguez told me you haven't eaten since this morning. That's not acceptable. What would you like? We have plenty of food from the party. Oh no, I couldn't. You can and you will, Mrs. Rodriguez interrupted, already pulling out plates. I'm not letting you leave this house until you have something in your stomach. What sounds good? We have everything. Salmon, chicken, pasta, salads. Maya's stomach growled loudly, answering for her. She felt her face go red. Richard chuckled. I think your body just voted. Mrs. Rodriguez, bring her a plate of everything. Richard, you really don't have to. I want to, he said simply. Consider it payment for braving that storm. The delivery app fee certainly doesn't cover nearly drowning. Before Maya could respond, Mrs. Rodriguez placed a plate in front of her that looked like something from a fancy restaurant, the kind of food Maya had delivered 1,000 times but never actually tasted. Eat, Mrs. Rodriguez commanded. You're too skinny. Maya picked up a fork. The first bite of salmon melted in her mouth. It was so good she almost cried. When was the last time she'd had a real meal? Not ramen, not dollar menu burgers. Real food. Richard watched her with a small smile, then asked casually, Do you go to school, Maya? She swallowed. I did. I had to stop. Had to? Maya set down her fork. This was getting too personal too quickly, but something about the way Richard was looking at her with genuine interest instead of pity made her want to answer honestly. I was at Columbia, sophomore year, studying business. Then my mom got sick. She took a breath. Cancer, the medical bills just kept coming. Insurance covered some of it, but none. Odd enough, never enough. I had to make a choice. Between school and your mother, Richard said quietly. It wasn't really a choice. Maya picked up her fork again, pushing food around her plate. She needed me. The money, the care, the appointments. I took a leave of absence. That was 2 years ago. And your mother now? Maya's throat tightened. She passed away 6 months ago. I'm sorry. Richard's voice was genuine, truly sorry. They sat in silence for a moment. The party noise seemed far away. Mrs. Rodriguez had disappeared, giving them privacy. My wife died 3 years ago, Richard said finally. Also cancer. I had the best doctors, the best hospitals, the best everything money could buy. But in the end, money doesn't matter much against some things. Maya looked up at him, seeing the grief in his eyes. I'm sorry, too. Her name was Diana. She grew up poor. Immigrant parents. Worked as a waitress, a cleaner, a nanny. Put herself through school one class at a time, taking whatever scholarships and loans she could get. By the time she graduated, she was 30 and had more debt than most people make in a year. Richard smiled at the memory. But she did it. She became a teacher. That's where I met her, actually. She was teaching a business ethics class as an adjunct professor, and I was a guest speaker. She sounds amazing, Maya said. She was. And she never forgot where she came from. Never looked down on anyone for their circumstances. He gestured toward the party. All of this, the foundation work, the charitable giving, that was her influence. She used to say that luck and privilege are responsibilities, not achievements. Maya felt a lump forming in her throat. She was right. So here's what I want to know, Maya. Do you want to go back to school? The question caught her off guard. Want to? Of course I do. But it's not that simple. The debt from my mom's treatment, my rent, daily expenses. I'd need to save for years before I could afford even one semester. What if you didn't have to save? Maya's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. What do you mean? Richard leaned forward. My foundation provides scholarships. We help students who show exceptional resilience in the face of hardship. Students like you. I don't understand. I'm offering you a scholarship, Maya. Full tuition, books, living expenses. Everything you need to go back to Columbia and finish your degree. The fork fell from Maya's hand, clattering on the plate. She stared at Richard, unable to process what she was hearing. You don't even know me, she whispered. I know enough. I know you ran 2 blocks in a storm to deliver food on time. I know you left school to care for your mother. I know you're out there every day, working hard, trying to survive. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. But how much would that even cost? $50,000 should cover 2 years, plus some extra for emergencies. $50,000. Maya's vision went blurry. $50,000. That was more money than she'd seen in her entire life. I can't accept that, she said, even though every cell in her body was screaming at her to say yes. It's too much. It's exactly enough, Richard said. Diana always said that helping one person might not change the whole world, but it could change the whole world for that one person. Let me change your world, Maya. Tears were streaming down Maya's face now. Real tears, not rain. Why? Why would you do this for me? Because someone once did something similar for Diana when she was struggling. A professor who paid for her textbooks one semester. $200 that changed her life. She never forgot it. Made her promise herself that if she ever had the means, she'd do the same for others. Richard's eyes were wet too. I'm just keeping her promise. The kitchen door swung open and Caroline walked in. She stopped when she saw Maya crying. What's going on? Her voice was sharp with suspicion. I'm giving Maya a scholarship to return to Columbia, Richard said calmly. Caroline's face went white, then red. You're what? Dad, you can't just... She literally showed up 20 minutes ago. And in those 20 minutes I learned more about character and determination than I've seen in months, Richard replied. This is insane. Caroline turned to Maya. How do we even know your story is true? How do we know you're not just playing on his emotions? Caroline! Richard's voice cracked like a whip. No, Dad, this is exactly the kind of thing people warn about. Someone shows up looking pitiful, tells a sad story, and suddenly you're writing checks. Caroline crossed her arms. We don't know anything about her. For all we know, she planned this whole thing. Maya stood up, her legs shaking. I should go. You should stay, Richard said firmly. He looked at his daughter. Caroline, step outside with me. Now. They left the kitchen, but their voices carried back through the door. Caroline was talking fast and angry. Richard's responses were quieter, but Maya could hear the disappointment in his tone. Mrs. Rodriguez reappeared, her expression troubled. Don't mind Miss Caroline. She's protective of her father. Sometimes too protective. She's right, though, Maya said, wiping her eyes. He doesn't know me. This is crazy. I should just go home and forget this happened. Is it crazy for someone to help another person? Mrs. Rodriguez asked. When I came to this country, I had nothing. Mr. Richard and Miss Diana, they gave me a job when no one else would. They paid for my daughter's college. They treated me like family. She took Maya's hand. Some people in this world have good hearts. Don't let suspicious ones make you doubt that. Vincent appeared in the doorway. Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to say something. Maya looked up at him. You don't have to. My dad hasn't been this animated, this alive since my mom died, Vincent said. Caroline doesn't see it because she's too busy trying to control everything. But I see it. Helping you, it's helping him too. It's giving him purpose again. But your sister's right. He doesn't know me. He knows what he needs to know. Vincent smiled. My mom used to say you can tell everything about a person in the first 5 minutes if you pay attention. My dad pays attention. Richard and Caroline returned to the kitchen. Caroline's face was composed now, but Maya could see the anger still simmering underneath. Maya, Richard said, I apologize for my daughter's rudeness. But her concerns aren't entirely unfounded. This is an unusual situation, and I'm asking you to trust a stranger just as much as I'm trusting you. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. Tomorrow I'll have my assistant contact you about the scholarship paperwork. It's a real program, run by the foundation with proper procedures. This isn't just me handing you cash on a whim. Maya's hands trembled as she entered her number into his phone. This was really happening. This was actually happening. There's only one condition, Richard said. Maya's heart sank. Of course there was a catch. When you finish school, when you're successful and stable, you help someone else. You find someone struggling, someone who needs a hand up, and you give it to them. That's all I ask. Pass it forward. I will, Maya promised. I swear I will. Then we have a deal. Richard extended his hand. Maya shook it, feeling the warmth and strength in his grip. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough. Finish school. Build a good life. Help someone else someday. That's thanks enough. Mrs. Rodriguez was crying now too, dabbing her eyes with her apron. Even Vincent looked emotional. Only Caroline stood apart, her expression unreadable. Richard arranged for a car service to take Maya home and to have her motorcycle towed to a shop. He paid for the repairs up front. As Maya gathered her wet clothes in a bag Mrs. Rodriguez provided, she felt like she was in a dream. At the door, Richard stopped her. One more thing. What you went through with your mother, that took courage. Don't let anyone make you feel small for surviving. You did what you had to do. Maya couldn't speak. She just nodded. In the elevator going down, she stared at her reflection in the mirror. The same girl who'd run through the rain an hour ago, desperate and cold and alone, but somehow different now. Like the universe had just shifted slightly, opening up possibilities that hadn't existed before. Her phone buzzed. The delivery app was asking about the order. She marked it complete and saw that Richard had left a 5-star rating and a $500 tip. Maya started crying again, clutching her phone to her chest as the elevator descended. She'd come here to deliver food. She was leaving with something so much more valuable. Hope. Maya woke up the next morning convinced it had all been a dream. But then she saw Richard's workout clothes folded neatly on her chair, evidence that last night had really happened. She grabbed her phone. There it was, the $500 tip, the notification from the delivery app saying she'd received a 5-star rating, and a new text from an unknown number. Good morning, Maya. This is Patricia Chen, no relation, I assume. I'm Mr. Ashford's assistant. Would you be available to come to the foundation office this afternoon at 2 p.m. to discuss your scholarship? The address is below. Maya read the message 3 times, then 3 more. Her hands were shaking again, but not from cold this time. She texted back immediately. Yes, I'll be there. Thank you so much. The response came quickly. Wonderful. Dress casually. This is just a conversation. See you at 2. Maya spent the next 3 hours trying on every combination of clothes she owned, which wasn't many. Nothing looked right. Everything was too worn, too cheap, too obviously thrift-assy. I just delivered food. You showed character. You showed determination. You showed exactly what that scholarship was designed to recognize. Mrs. Rodriguez took Maya's hand. The people saying cruel things? They're not living your life. They don't know your struggles. They're just angry at the world and taking it out on an easy target. I'm making everything harder for Richard. Maybe I should just walk away. And let the bullies win? Let them prove that good deeds get punished? Mrs. Rodriguez shook her head. No, mija. You go to that meeting tomorrow. You accept that scholarship. You go back to school and you work hard and you succeed. That's how you honor what Mr. Richard and Miss Diana believed in. Maya wanted to believe her. She wanted to push through all this noise and come out the other side. But she'd never felt more exposed, more vulnerable, more judged by people who didn't even know her. Her phone buzzed. She'd turned it back on to call for food delivery earlier. Now there was a text from an unknown number. You don't know me, but I was also a scholarship recipient from the Ashford Foundation 5 years ago. The internet wasn't as crazy then, but people still judged. I want you to know it gets better. Focus on your education. The noise fades. The degree lasts forever. You've got this. Then another text. And another. People she'd never met sending encouragement. Other scholarship recipients. Students who'd overcome hardship. People who understood what this meant. For every cruel comment, there was also this. Quiet voices of support. People who believed in her. People who knew that sometimes life throws you a lifeline when you need it most. Maya looked at Mrs. Rodriguez. Okay, I'll go to the meeting. Good girl. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. Now eat your soup. You're still too skinny. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Tomorrow would determine everything. Would Columbia accept her back? Would the scholarship really come through despite all the controversy? Would she get her second chance? She thought about her mom, about all those hospital visits, about the moment she'd had to withdraw from school. Her mom had cried, saying she'd ruined Maya's life. You didn't ruin anything, Mom, Maya had said then. You gave me life. Everything else is just details. Now lying in the dark, Maya whispered to the empty room. I'm going back, Mom. I'm finally going back, and somewhere, in whatever place people go after they leave. Maya hoped her mother could hear her. 6 months later, Maya sat in a Columbia University lecture hall, her notebook open, her mind focused on her professor's explanation of market dynamics. It felt surreal sometimes being back, like she'd wake up and find herself still delivering food in the rain, and all of this had been just a dream. But it wasn't a dream. The textbooks were real. The assignments were real. The exhaustion from studying until 2 in the morning was very, very real, and she loved every minute of it. Her phone buzzed during break. A text from Patricia at the foundation. Can you stop by the office tomorrow? Richard wants to talk to you about something. Maya's stomach flipped. Even after 6 months, she still got nervous about meeting with Richard. The scholarship had come through exactly as promised. Columbia had welcomed her back. Her grades were good. She'd even started volunteering at a local shelter on weekends. Everything was going well, so why did Richard wants to talk make her anxious? She texted back. Of course. What time? 2 p.m. work? Perfect. After class, Maya walked across campus, breathing in the autumn air. Students rushed past her, complaining about midterms, making weekend plans, living normal college lives. Maya was one of them now. Just another student. The internet had mostly forgotten about her, moving on to the next viral story. Occasionally someone recognized her, but it was rare. She stopped by the campus coffee shop where she'd started working part-time. She didn't need the money anymore. The scholarship covered everything, but she wanted to work. Wanted to feel like she was earning her way, at least partially. Maya, her coworker Josh, called out, You're not scheduled today. Just getting coffee. And maybe one of those cookies. The chocolate chip ones. They're fresh. Perfect. Josh rang her up, then leaned over the counter. Hey, random question. Did you see they're hiring delivery drivers at that new app, QuickBite? My roommate's looking for work. Maya stiffened. Yeah? I know you used to do delivery. Any advice I can give him? 6 months ago, Maya would have changed the subject, would have wanted to forget that part of her life. But Mrs. Rodriguez's words had stuck with her. Nothing to be ashamed of. You did what you had to do. Tell him to track his mileage for taxes. Bring a portable charger. And always have a backup plan if his vehicle breaks down. Maya smiled. And tell him not to accept orders from penthouse apartments on Park Avenue. Those get complicated. Josh laughed, not knowing the story behind the joke. Will do. Walking back to her apartment, Maya passed a delivery driver on a motorcycle, a young guy barely 20, looking stressed as he checked his phone. For a second, she was back there, counting orders, calculating earnings, praying nothing would break because she couldn't afford repairs. That could still be her life. Almost was. One rainy night, one broken motorcycle. One kind man had changed everything. The next day, Maya arrived at the foundation office exactly at 2. Patricia greeted her with a hug. They'd become something like friends over the past months, talking beyond just scholarship logistics. "He's waiting in the conference room," Patricia said. "And Maya, don't look so nervous. This is good news." The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Richard stood looking out at the view, his hands in his pockets. He turned when Maya entered. "Maya, thank you for coming." He gestured to the table. "Please sit. Can I get you anything?" "I'm fine, thank you." Maya sat, trying to read his expression. He looked serious but not upset. "Patricia said you wanted to talk?" Richard sat across from her. "I'll get straight to it. The foundation has had some challenges since that night went viral." Maya's heart sank. Here it came. They were revoking the scholarship. Too much controversy. Too much baggage. "Our application numbers increased by 300%, Richard continued. "Which sounds good. But most were from people who weren't actually qualified. People who saw a viral video and wanted easy money. It's put tremendous strain on our resources." "I'm so sorry," Richard held up a hand. "Let me finish." The board was concerned. Some members suggested we should have been more careful, more traditional in our approach. Caroline in particular has been vocal about implementing more rigorous screening processes. "I understand if you need to." "Maya, please. I'm not here to take anything away from you." Richard smiled. "I'm here because something else happened. Something we didn't expect." He pulled out his tablet and showed her a graph. Donations to the foundation are up 400%. Not just from the publicity, though that helped initially, but from something else entirely. He scrolled to an article. The headline read, "Columbia student pays it forward, scholarship recipient helps fellow workers." Maya's eyes widened. "How did they?" "3 delivery drivers contacted us. Said you'd helped them. One said you paid for his motorcycle repair out of your own pocket. Another said you'd given him your entire week's tips when his daughter was sick. A third said you'd spent hours helping him study for his GED. "That was nothing," Maya protested. "Just small things." "Small things?" Richard's eyes were bright. "Maya, those small things inspired hundreds of other scholarship recipients to reach out and share their own stories of paying it forward. We've documented over 1,000 acts of kindness from people the foundation has helped over the years. Students tutoring for free, graduates funding scholarships of their own, people helping their communities." He pulled out another article. This one Maya had written herself for the Columbia Daily Spectator, her school newspaper. She'd written it a month ago. A personal essay about the importance of seeing people as human beings, not just service providers. About how one person's kindness had changed her life. About Richard's genuine character and his late wife's vision. "I wrote that for a class assignment," Maya said. "I didn't think anyone outside of Columbia would read it. It's been shared 50,000 times. Major news outlets picked it up. For the first time in 6 months, the narrative shifted. People stopped questioning whether my actions were genuine and started asking how they could help." Richard's voice grew thick with emotion. "Maya, you defended me when you didn't have to. You told the truth when lying or staying silent would have been easier. That took courage, and you changed my life. Of course, I defended you. And in doing so, you changed the foundation's life." The board meeting last week was unanimous. Instead of restricting our programs, we're expanding them. We're creating more scholarships, more opportunities. Because you reminded people what this was really about. Maya felt tears building. "I just wanted people to understand. They do now. Which brings me to why I asked you here." Richard leaned forward. "The foundation is forming a committee of scholarship recipients to help select future recipients. People who understand what it means to struggle, to need help, to work hard. I want you to be on that committee." "Me? But I'm still in school." "Which makes you perfect. You're living it right now. You remember what it felt like to be on the other side?" Richard smiled. "Plus, I trust you. Not just your judgment, but your heart. You see people the way Diana used to see them. The way I